make a start. So, Paul, I'll probably start with you first. So, do you want to introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So, well, hello everybody, and thanks for having us on. Nice to be able to speak to you all about this wonderful industry that we're in. So, my name is Paul Askew. I'm the chef patron of the Art School restaurants. I guess that means I'm the head chef, the owner, the chief cook and bottle washer, a bit of everything. And we've been open for 7 years now. So just coming into our 7th Christmas. We're a fine dining restaurant that focuses on local, seasonal, fresh food, all about the ingredients in terms of our cuisine and our style, always very much inspired by what's the best meat, what's the best fish at the market, what's coming out of the ground in terms of vegetables and fruit. And we try and have a philosophy of sticking a pin in the map of the art school and doing a 25-mile radius around. And we try and buy as much as we possibly can from within that area. And it's very important to us that we use not just local produce, but also local people as well. So that's another reason why it's nice to be on the Zoom with you all tonight and sat next to Mr. McCaffrey here on my left. He's not on your left, I don't think. But it's very important. We work with all the colleges in Merseyside, and I have done probably since about 1995. I'd been away in upstate New York as a sous chef as part of my training. Came back to the city of Liverpool in '95. Went to work for the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Society to launch a new restaurant there, and the backstage catering, corporate hospitality, outside catering. We used to do something called the Summer Pops down on the King's Dock. So we used to cook for 1 minute you'd be cooking for Elton John, next minute you'd be cooking for the Buena Vista Social Club, or you name it, the Three Tenors, all sorts of different people. And I was lucky enough to be asked to cook for the Queen while I was working for the Philharmonic Society. And I think that's probably how I started to get a reputation for delivering, high quality and big events and good restaurant food. And so it developed from there. And then I went straight over the road to the London Carriage Works and Hope Street Hotel, where I was there was the founder director and the founder head chef for 13 years, and then came over to do the art school. So very quickly, that's a bit of a potted history of my background.
Brill. So with you mentioning Kyle, we're going to bring Kyle in now. So Kyle, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Paul, how you started out?
Yeah, so I basically it was through a friend of a friend. It was, the college always had great links with big names within the industry. So like with the Knowsley Hall connections and the art school connections, but down London as well. So it was through that how I originally got a stage and then just applied for the job and not looked back since.
It was
James Holden,
Royal Academy.
Royal Academy.
Yeah, Royal Academy of Culinary Art. Yeah.
So can you tell me what chef de partie means? What is your role? What do you do in the restaurant?
So chef de partie is basically the position of head of a section is what it translates to from French. And it's just basically, well, with it being, we're not a massive team. So within my role within the kitchen, it's about looking after and delegating over the younger ones in the kitchen and the ones that are just an overall understanding of looking after the other members of staff really that's lower than me in the pecking order. But
yeah, you're currently running a section though, aren't you?
Yeah, and so I'm currently on meat and fish, doing that over the Christmas period when we reopen again now. But yeah,
we'll be giving him a run around, don't worry. He'll be earning his money.
So how do you feel the college prepared you to move into the industry, Kyle? How are the facilities at college compared to where you are now? Did you hear that okay?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, you just froze a little bit there, but we got it. Yeah.
Well, the college had a really good restaurant on site. It was Colours, and it was very much an operational restaurant. I was just saying before we started this interview, it was actually a 7-day operation for us. So we do 2 days of the practical and theory work, and then it would be the actual restaurant was open, and it was open to staff for students to come and work there for an actual paid parts as a part-time job in the spare time. But It was made basically working in that environment of the restaurants from the age of 15 to 16 when you go in studying at college. It made it very easy for the transition into student to industry member. So it was swift but smooth at the same time.
Yeah.
Good.
Can I add a bit to that as well? Just from my point of view, I know you want to hear about sort of my relationship with the college, and I've used a number of students from St Helens, and what I've always found is, and it touches on what Kyle's just said, really, is that because they had the sort of the underpinning knowledge and the background training from the classroom, but they also had the day-to-day, going to a restaurant, working in a very sort of realistic environment. That, and I think, sorry, I just had a phone call come in. What the way I know the things have changed at the college now, and I know it's all about funding and how things are able to move forward. But what I would say to people coming into the industry now is that the way to replicate that, if you don't have a college with a facility like Colours, is what I did when I was at college, which is to do a full-time course or an apprenticeship. Now I know there's apprenticeship programs available where you do day release, but you do a full-time course to get your underpinning and your theory and do all the bits that most chefs and waiters prefer not to do, but you have to do it. You have to get that piece of paper that says you know what you're talking about. And then also work part-time in a restaurant or do evening work or weekend work so that you are getting the best of both worlds. That would be a very important piece of advice from me. I do think it's important to get the underpinning and the theory working hand in hand with the practical. I think that's so important.
How many students would you say you've had working for you, Paul, and how has that benefited your restaurant?
Well, over the years, I mean, when we first started the art school in 2014, we actually opened by employing 7 apprentices who'd actually never even, held a plate before or picked up a knife before in some cases. Some of them had done some basic training at local colleges. But for me, there was many reasons for that. I wanted to create a culture, if you like, at the art school, which was about creating a culture of hospitality, creating a culture of learning. And also I knew that I needed lots of energetic young people to do a lot of running around for me. So, so it was the best of both worlds. But I think any business that doesn't believe in having young people in there to benefit from the experiences of older people like myself who've been in the, for me, it's 40 years next year. But I think it's very important, like a football team or a rugby team, if you've got a fine blend of experience and youth, you usually find that they're the winning teams. And I've always believed in that, I would continue to do that. And we have a philosophy where it's very much like the academy of a football team or a rugby team, where we, as fast as we're bringing somebody like Kyle from college, and now he's been promoted twice since he's been here. We've got a guy called Gabe, who's at City of Liverpool College, actually, as an apprentice. We've got another lady called Beth, who's just finished her apprenticeship. So it's probably time when all this madness is over, when the COVID situation eases, it's probably time now to look for the next generation of apprentices. And that's very much how I see it. It's a progression through the various corners of the kitchen to get an all-round qualification,
Yeah, definitely. And how have you adapted with the COVID situation? There's probably a question aimed at both of you. How have you had to adapt to the current climate, and what changes have you made within the restaurant? I suppose anyone thinking about joining the industry is going to have questions around that.
Sure. Well, I'll start it off and then I'll hand it over to Kyle as well. But I think for us, like everybody, it was a very, very big shock I'll never forget it, March the 20th, when we were told to close the doors. And for me, it was actually a very emotional day. I was very, very depressed, actually, for quite a while. And of course, the initial shock of being locked down is that, for me personally, I had 35 members of staff. And my first concern is, how do I keep those people together? How do I pay them? How do I nurture them, keep them sane, so that when we come out the other end, we're all still together? And I think, hospitality is very much about people. It's a people business, whether we're talking about our teams or our guests. It's all about people. And the thing is, we had a really great brigade, a really balanced, nice mix of, as I said before, experience, youth, also some international members of the team who were there. So we had a good mix of local people and international people, and I was determined to keep them together. So the first lockdown was all about that, and of course, furlough allowed us to do that, and there was a few grants around, so it was a big financial worry. But we got through that. But latterly, we started diversifying the business, and we opened a bit of retail in our bar downstairs, because obviously bars aren't able to operate. So we have a thing called the Emporium, where we sell fine wine, cheeses, charcuterie, and then latterly we've started doing the box click and collect, where you take a 3-course meal for an art school at home. So we've been doing that as well. But I'll let Carl talk about adapting to the PPE and the COVID regulations, and how the teams, how we had to move the kitchens around, and it's been very, very difficult. But in a funny old way, it feels like we came through it quite well, I think. Well, I'm saying that. Maybe I'll let Kyle talk. Maybe we didn't. I don't know. I think we did, yeah. Anyway, what do you think, Kyle?
Well, first of all, I enjoyed the piece, and it was a crazy time, because we were gearing up to do the Aintree and the Wirral Food Festivals, and we had about the week before we closed, we had something like 100 people in every night for a different reason or a different event. So the actual initial, right, pack your bags, take your stuff home, and you back whenever the government says, was an absolute. It was unearthly. It didn't feel like it was natural. It was. No. So in terms of lockdown, you just had to keep yourself busy. I personally did gardening and just tried to keep myself busy, going on walks every day. But then when we've come back now, it's crazy, because we've gone from doing, top standard food, taking 5 minutes to plate one dish, to, putting lids on takeaway containers, which is something I never thought I'd do from being 15 since. But in terms of the way things are going with the industry itself, is actually it's still in the same position it was before we closed down. There's still a shortage of chefs, and there's still a shortage of young people in the industry. Still, it's an industry that not many people are a bit too scared to go into, but it is a very rewarding and satisfactory line of work to be into. And the entire industry is calling out for chefs, whether that's, a relaxed country house hotel to 2 Michelin star restaurants, which are screaming out for chefs and wanting the turnover.
Yeah, I think I would add to that, actually. I'd say, hospitality across the board, it's not just the chefing side of it. For me, the front of house trades and the sommeliers and the maitre d's of the future, as well as, who's going to do the marketing, who's going to do the accountancy. Hospitality is a huge industry which covers so many different topics. And I'll tell you now that a lot of our European cousins and people from around the world who used to come to UK to work in the industry, moving forward because of COVID and probably various other things, are probably not going to be around as much. And I think it's a huge, huge opportunity for local young people to get into the industry right now. And you will see the opportunities are enormous. The pay is not the lowest of the low. The opportunities are not the lowest of the low. It's actually incredibly rewarding. And as Kyle said, we're going to need more and more people. And I think when all this is over, you'll see a huge boom in the hospitality industry. It's all been suppressed at the moment because we've all been told to close. Yeah. But the minute we're told we can open, it's going to be like the floodgates opening. So believe me, there are going to be lots of jobs when it happens. So.
That's good. So my final question was going to be to both of you. What advice would you give to anyone considering joining the industry? But you've probably just answered that, really.
Well, I can add a bit more.
If you want to add to it, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think, hospitality and catering, as it was called when I was at college, catering department, for many, many years had a reputation of something that people did if they weren't very good at other things. And I've always fought against that all my life. I went to a grammar school, I did O-levels, I did A-levels, but I knew that I wanted to be in hospitality from the age of about 14. Maybe I was lucky in that respect, because some people I know struggle to find their niche and struggle to find their way. So I think the fact that I decided quite early, I travelled quite a bit as a kid because of my dad's work, but I decided that I knew what I wanted to do, and I set my sights on it. And I'm so glad that I did. I'm 40 years in, and I wouldn't change anything for all the tea in China. You know, I genuinely still believe it was the right thing to do. It's given me a fantastic career, fantastic life, but you've got to work hard at it, but that's like anything. But if you do, the rewards are there, both financially and in terms of job satisfaction. They are enormous, you know. So that would be my my big thing. Really put your heart and soul into it, and you reap what you sow, as they say.
Okay, well, anything to add, Kyle, or should we?
No, other than that, no, he's covered it all.
Yeah. Oh no, it's been great talking to you. I think I've learned a lot about the industry as well, just being on with you guys tonight. So that's great. So hopefully, the students that are watching have picked that up as well. So I'll open the floor to questions. We have got one that's come in already. So can you do catering as an apprenticeship? That's coming from Sam. So yes, Sam, you can.
Well, yeah, in my understanding is, I think you'll find that people are going to be crying out for apprenticeships, and whether you do that as a day release with a place like us, you know, you come to us for your practical 4 days a week, and then you go to college 1 or 2 days a week. I don't know how it works, but absolutely, you can definitely do that for sure.
Within our college as well, Sam, we do have a fully working restaurant here at St Helens College, so you're getting all that practical hands-on experience within the restaurant too. So it's a great course. Have a little look on the virtual open event platform, find out a little bit more on the course information sheet, find out what you would be studying in college, and go from there. Okay, well, so there's no other questions come through. My lights have just gone off in the office.
I was going to say, yeah, you're having a seance there. Somebody put 50p in the meter. There you go. All right.
Right, any other questions, guys, before we end the session? I'll just give it another minute, Paul and Kyle, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, one thing I would say, when this is all over and restrictions are back to normal, we've all had our vaccines and all the rest of it, we often do allow people to come on work experience, because I think the other piece of advice in all of this is go on trial somewhere. You know, a bit like Kyle said at the beginning, go and do a stage, go and do a couple of days work, dip your toe before you leap in the deep end, sort of thing, and find out about the kitchen, find out about the dining room, see which area it is that interests you. Yeah. And hopefully you find your niche, and then you know which course that you want to go on. That would be a great thing to do.
Yeah. Okay, so there's no other questions come through, so I'll probably end the session there. But if anyone who is on the live session now does want to ask any follow-up questions, you can use the contact us button on the virtual open event, and we'll do our best to answer those questions for you. So I just want to say thanks for giving up some time this evening, both of you, Kyle and Paul. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Inspiring the next generation of chefs. So thank you
very much. Yeah.
Bye now.
Okay. Take care. See you again. Bye.